moment, does it? But needs must. We're only going to be able to sit at tables that the staff at the pub will serve through perspex glasses, or they will serve to table. It's not going to be the pubs that we knew and we loved. Now, the only thing that I can see, at least for summer, that is a glint in the eye and shows a bit of happiness, is that you can be a little bit more expansive in a pub garden. Yeah, still got to be a bit careful, but you're outside. And outside is much less dangerous than inside. So perhaps the pub garden is going to take new shape. Perhaps what we'll find is that a lot of pub gardens will now become covered pub gardens, so that we can go out into the garden during the winter months. I don't know. The thing is, nobody else does either, and I think it's going to be a very uncomfortable learning period. So we've got to be a bit patient. And a lot of my friends would say, ha ha ha, Keith, you patient? You've got to be a bit patient, and we've got to decide how the future is going to be formed. What about the 63 pubs and the 17 breweries? Well, if you want to know a little bit about that, you'll have to stay and listen. Because I'm going to now, because we've been on the air for 16 minutes, so half our time has gone, and what we're going to do is we're going to play something, and I can't remember what it sounds like, and it's quite long, so we can always dip out. Walking in line, because that's what we've been doing, haven't we? We've been walking in line. Mind you, you do get to know people 2 meters ahead and 2 meters behind as you wait just to get your currant bun from the local supermarket. You know, doing the weekly shop is okay, but when you just want one single item, to have to wait for almost an hour in a queue, wow, that's the killer. Walking in line. You know, one of the nice things about being able to run a radio station like this is of course, we do it on a shoestring. We have to look for material that doesn't cost very much, or in fact doesn't cost anything at all. And I'm amazed that throughout the world there are so many very fine music composers of all genre. I love that word, genre. Of all genre. Who they put up their music onto social media now in the hope that somebody will come along and listen to it and that they'll get an audience. Never going to make top 10, but does that matter? No. The fact is that they do get a hearing, and some of the stuff, like I thought Walking in Line there was rather nice, rather pleasant, rather fun. And it's got a hearing through us, and I'm sure that it gets a hearing through other people. And it's excellent that social media is able to give a platform to almost everybody who wants to get into media. I've been in it for 60 years, man and boy. I think I'm something of a pro, and I've been around, I've done that. But there are a lot of aspiring young people, and we think that one thing that we should do is to actually encourage talent. And it's amazing that there is a lot of talent hiding under the bush. The funny thing is, you know, that the trouble is with Hollywood and the big stations and so on and so forth is you can say to youngsters, would you like a chance to get into television or radio? Oh, yes, Gov, yes, I would. I'd very much like to. How much are you going to pay me? Well, I didn't start for free, but I started for $5 a program in Canada, and that wasn't very much even 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It wasn't very much at all. You're going to have to give a little to get something in the media world of today. And if you're not prepared to, you're not cut out for it. You'll always be disappointed. So, if somebody comes along and says, here's a chance, do you want to take it? Take it. Because they're going to be few and far between at the professional level. Already, every job that's advertised in radio or television, it gets hundreds, if not thousands, of applicants. And it's not easy to break down the barrier, believe me. Just a couple of years or so ago, in Soho, in London, one of the media houses, I think they made commercials and corporate videos and that sort of thing, they put an ad in, I think it was called Loot, L-O-O-T. I think the local free newspaper in Soho in those days, they put in an ad saying, runner wanted, no pay but lots of experience. And they, within 24 hours, had 500 applicants for that one lowly unpaid job. So if you think that you're going to walk out with your piece of paper that says that you've got a degree in media studies or whatever and walk right into a nice cosy job, think twice. Ain't that easy. Not that easy at all. Anyway, back to the pubs. Because we had 63 pubs and 17 breweries. Now, there were several reasons for that. First of all, drinking beer particularly was a much more common thing than it is today. What, you say? How can it be more common than the way that we drink and the amount we consume today? Well, we do. And also, of course, in the mid-1800s, there wasn't public transport where if I want to go down to a pub in Brighton, I hop on a bus and away I go. Well, I couldn't do that in 1850. I was stuck at home. And in fact, some of the places that we now take for granted, that we are joined to, as it were, we walk across to, were separate villages. So as a consequence, the small communities had to have plenty of pubs, because many of these pubs were just front rooms. And they could only accommodate 10, 12, 15 people. Does it sound as if we might have to go back to something like that? Well, who knows? But anyway, the other thing is that in Lewis, the major brewery, which is still here, the Survivor, which is Harvey's, is survived mostly because it has its own well of water. And that water from the well is pure. But it wasn't from anywhere else. It was poisonous. You took a sip of water in Lewis, boing, That was it. Say goodbye. And so we had to have a lot of pubs because you couldn't drink water, you had to drink beer. Even the children drank beer. And so it would be, okay, love, pack up, we're going round to the pub now for a drink. It may only have been 2 doors down, and it may have been only a front room, but they went down so that they could have a drink and the kids could have a drink of specially prepared beer. And it was a flourishing industry. The other thing is that we tend to think we never learned from the Romans. They gave us central heating. Did we keep it? No, we did not. We knew better. So central heating certainly wasn't around, not in any real sense, in the mid-1850s. And people wanted to go to the pub to get warm. And even if those buildings themselves were a bit creaky, had a few drafts, there were people there and a big roaring fire. And you could draw comfort from the fact that you were sipping on a beer and you were next to or jammed in with several people. There was a great big fire going. It was all cosy. Who wants to go home to a very drafty and sometimes leaky house? Not me. I would have been in the pub all the time, I guess, and so were they. Hey, one more little... let's play Blue Sky and see what we've got there. Say that Blue Sky was mixed. Not a bad little number, but outside there are lots of clouds around again today. We are not returning to the heat wave of last week, obviously, very quickly. It sounds to me as if it's going to be another English summer. The odd day here and there, but the rest of the time soggy sandwiches as we try to beat the rain on the picnic. I really am feeling very sad. Even before lockdown, Lewes had 16 pubs, and for a town of 17,000, that's not bad. I fear, looking at some of them as I walk by now, that they will never see their doors open again, and that perhaps from 63 pubs, we'll have gone down to 6. Sad day. Sad day. And on that sad note, very brightly, Keith Hayes from Lewes in East Sussex with Rousal Radio. We have to say goodbye. We've run out of time. Oh my goodness me, where does he go? Till tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you. Toodle pip. Oh, I cocked that up, didn't I? Didn't get there at all in time.